Hello and welcome to another edition of the program, Total Woman on AD4 TV Radio. My name is Mute Olori. Today my guest on the show is a one-time executive director for Ladela Schools, has been educating and training for over 3 decades. She recently ventured into agriculture, becoming the managing director of Global Ladela Agro-Allied Farms, a company empowering a new generation of entrepreneurs in all aspects of agriculture, from virtual farming to training to export. She calls this initiative Agripreneurship. She is the immediate past president of Business and Professional Women, an international NGO that develops the professional, business, and leadership potential of women on all levels through advocacy, mentoring, networking, skills building, and economic empowerment programs around the world. She currently sits on the board of Business and Professional Women, as well as the national president of African Women Entrepreneurship Program, Nigeria chapter. Please welcome my guest, Angela Ajala.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. It's good having you on the show today.
Thank you.
So, what's your assessment of the educational system in our country? Especially as it pertains to business, education, or should I call it education in business or business in education?
Education in Nigeria right now, I will say, can be put into categories. There's the public sector, there's the private sector. The curriculum we run as a country, I would say our curriculum is good. Can be better, but is good. And in private education, once the government sets out a curriculum, that is just a guide. You now build it up as a private sector person. Build up the guidelines that have been given you, build up the basic curriculum, and infuse it with what you think are the future life skills the child will need, looking at the emerging market realities and what is obtainable in the global world, so that the child can be a global citizen. So nobody takes a curriculum and just say, this is what government has given us and this is what we'll run with. You must improve upon it to make it relevant to what you want the child to become. And you can see that all our children, Nigerian children all over the world, whenever they go anywhere outside Nigeria, they excel because the foundation is quite strong. And so that is a good positioning for us, I think.
Okay, so if I get you clear, we all have the same curriculum from the Federal Ministry of Education.
Yes.
But your vision and goal for setting up your school is not infused in it. So that's why we have some schools that are British Nigeria, American Standard. Now I see Malaysia and Australia.
Yes.
Okay. Is it good for our system? Is it something that it does it affect the students in any way? I mean, when I look at the public schools and I look at the private schools, what's the disparity between both of them?
The disparity, one is in terms of the curriculum, like I said. The private sector will infuse the curriculum. Two, I also think there's infrastructural deficit also in the public. I mean, if you see some public schools, you will weep at the level of decadence of infrastructure and the kind of things you see there. In terms of personnel, there are good teachers, both in public and private schools. The difference might be the consistent training you probably find in a private sector establishment, because you need to be at the top of your game. And so you must constantly train, at least for some, not every. So just as you have some good public schools, you also have some good private schools. Just as you have some bad public schools, you have. So it's a mixture that you have going on.
So you've been in the education industry for a long time. In fact, I was in a forum where your student that you taught in primary 4 became a coach, and he was in one of your programs. I was like, God, this woman has invested so much. Now, what's the major challenge? I don't think it's one. So let me use the word plural. What are the major challenges that the educational sector is facing, whether private or public?
The first I would say is staffing. Major. And that can be traced to the foundation of how education is perceived in Nigeria. Even if you look at the modality of admission, if you want to go for higher institution after your secondary school, JAM, your first choice, they'll say it's a university. Your second choice, they'll say it's a polytechnic. Your third choice, they'll say it's the College of Education. Then your fourth choice, you now have the IEIs, the Institute of Educational, is a new private sector or something. So even looking at the way it has been arranged, it has shown that it is, if you do not get into the university, then the next thing, if you do not get polytechnic, okay, there's no admission, go and be a teacher.
So there's already a kind of discrimination.
Already from the foundation, there is a discrimination. So that gives the perception that if you are going to a teacher training college, it is because you could not get into a university. It wasn't your choice. And so many times, products of such institutions come out not because that was what they wanted to do, but because they had no choice. So they're already coming into the system with a very biased mindset. They are coming into the system without the passion to do the job they expected to do, because that wasn't their intention. So from the beginning, that has been faulted. And so except we go back to the foundation to correct that, it will be difficult. So you already now have staff that you have to motivate, you have to train, you have to push out the passion to show them what it is, leaving a legacy, training children, having an impact in the society. You have to do a lot of mindset reorientation to get the kind of staffing you want. So staffing is a major problem. And you see many good schools, when they want to recruit, you want to recruit just one teacher, you probably interview up to 40 to get what you want to get. And then you are now ready to now also invest in that one, to train to the level of the standard you want to operate in your school. So staffing is a major issue. Getting them to run the vision with you, to even have the basic foundational concepts to be a regular teacher, because that wasn't how they went into the system. Then the second is finance. The interest rates are killing in Nigeria. They don't encourage a business to thrive or to do well. It's as if the banks are set up to make you to fail, and the society. And so you are running at a double-digit interest rates, and you must pass the cost to somebody. So where do you pass the cost to? Parents. You know, and so the fees go up because you are paying a double-digit interest rates, and then you have multiple taxation killing you, and then you are the local government of your own school. You construct your roads, you provide your light, you provide your water, you provide your security, you make sure everything is... So by the time you put all those costs together, you are not going to borrow to service those costs. It will now still go back to parents, and then the fees go up. So finance and staffing are very critical, and I think those are the two top challenges, I would say. Every other challenge, I think if you're in the business of education, you can work around it and make it happen, because it will now boil down to operations. It will boil down to having the relevant curriculum to suit the children you are raising nowadays. You know, it will boil down to technological advancement and how you deploy technology to make it relevant to what you're teaching. Every other thing you can get and you can work with, but finance and staffing, they are foundational.
Wow, and that is really major.
They are major.
How true is it that there is, in the eye of the government, there's an acceptance given to the public school and their teachers, which the private schools do not enjoy? Is that true? Because I noticed that during the COVID-19, there were a lot of outcry from private school owners asking government for some kind of support or assistance. And it came to the fore that, oh, you're a private school, so you do not enjoy any form of incentive from the government. How true is that, and how does that help affect the development and growth of the private school vis-a-vis the public schools?
In terms of support from the government, you know, education is on the concurrent list. And so which means it is not centralized to say whatever the federal government says, that is how it will run. Education is in such a way that every state has the flexibility and the liberty to run education the way in which it wants to run. So what Lagos State will do for education will be different from what FCT or Borno State or any other state will do. And so it will depend on the leadership pushing education in that state. You know, you have states like Lagos State, where the commissioner for education is a round peg in a round hole, complete. And so you can see the policies, you can see the actions, you can see the direction, you can see the guidance she's giving education, both for public and for private, going on in a strong manner. And you can see the effects of it. Now, in terms of support during the COVID, I'll be honest with you, the government did reach out to private schools and said, we cannot support everybody, but we can support a minimum of 10 staff in your institution. And so if you give us at least 10 names, let's see how we can support with salaries, with whatever. And they gave the criteria, the forms you were to fill, and people did. I did, and they gave us some money. And so they can't reach everywhere. And that also now boiled down to the importance of running a proper school and keeping records. Because if you didn't have the records to show, and if you didn't have what they were asking for, I mean, that is their own criteria to check credibility and to make sure they're giving the right people what it was supposed to be. So in their little way, for COVID, I think they tried.
All right, so that clears the air for some of the notion, you know, and perspective that people had that government really didn't do anything.
It just didn't go around enough as would be expected, but indeed were many, you know, so.
So let me come to these other parts. That's you are now. What led you, after decades in education, to now venture into agriculture?
I'm still in education. That's my number one passion. I can never leave education. Agric for me is number one. I think food is the most important apart from education. I believe that education is a structure upon which every other structure rests upon. And secondly, I think if we take our agricultural sector as importantly as we take other sectors, then hunger will be eliminated. 2, poverty will be eliminated, because they say a hungry man is an angry man. And food is very key. And there are different innovations coming out in agric now. When we teach agric in school in our days, you know, when they taught us, it was hoe, cutlass, you know, those kind of things. Now, we want to inspire the children to go into that sector, seeing the value chain that is in the agric sector that is so huge and that can be tapped into and that can be relevant to the skills they are building, both in technology and in other things, you know, using the drone technology, using artificial intelligence, using all kinds of things. We are now teaching the children, which was my first aim of going there, was to show that we can do agriculture as a subject and everybody will practically run and offer it, that this is what we want to do, because it will come useful for you later in life.
We will talk about the usefulness after the break. It's still Total Woman on AD4 TV Radio. I'll take a short break now. When we come back, we would like to look at the benefits in agriculture and why everybody really wants to go there, why you need to go in that. Don't go away.
I can be all I ever dream of, oh yeah. I am a total woman. I am a total woman. Oh, I am a total woman.
Welcome back. It's still AD4 TV Radio and the program is Total Woman. My guest, Angela Ajala, we've been talking about the educational sector and the things that are very challenging for them. But recently she veered into agriculture and we're trying to find out from her, what are the incentives, you know, that a lot of people really want to go into agriculture. And a lot of people, like you said, we need to feed the nation. But apart from feeding the nation as a thought, what are the incentives actually in agriculture that every woman watching you would want to say, I think I should go in there and add my own quota to agriculture?
Food is basic to everybody. It's something that everybody will eat. food is something that is very important. And so there's always a way to add value and to be a part of the agricultural revolution going on. The problem we're having is not having enough government support in the ways you want it, both in terms of policies, both in terms of all the farmer headman clashes we're having, in terms of security, both in terms of power sector, where you need to do a lot of processing, and the overhead of light just affects you. But it is the next biggest thing that everybody should get involved in, because there's a part everybody can play. Recently, you know, when COVID came, people started buying online. And there's a lady that calls herself the Abuja Master Sharer. And the only thing she does is to go to the local markets to get food directly from the farmers and then share for people at affordable rates slightly lower than the market rate. So she's in the agri sector because she's you know, so the sector has, I think it's one of the sectors that has the largest value chain that everybody can tap into. You can process, you can do logistics, you can do graphics, you can market, you can do production, you can do direct farming, you can do exports, you can do supplies. So there's a huge amount of work to be done in the agri sector, and everybody can tap into it. And as you tap into it and you provide quality services, you will get a lot of clients. We first went into training. We thought it was important that if you want to go into agri, be trained in the areas you want to go into. Have adequate knowledge, because that is very important. So we went into training and we focused on things like a greenhouse. We focused on things like sustainable living through production of simple things like snails and grass cutters that we felt did not require much. So for agriculture, you can start with little and you can scale up and be big. You know, just looking at snail that I mentioned casually, you know, the value chain in snail is so huge. The demand for it, even for local consumption, is high, that getting enough for export, it's a major issue. You know, recently I was in the UK and I went to the African markets to see what was available and how we could tap in and begin to do some exports with them. And they asked and said, "Oh, could you supply us snail?" Easily. I said, "Yes, now, me that I teach people how to do snail, why not?" So they said, "Okay, can we sign a contract? Can you give us 8,000 snail twice a month?" We reached out to the Nigerian market. We couldn't get it.
8,000
we couldn't.
a month.
Twice a month.
That's 60,000
We
a month.
could not. That's just one market. We couldn't get people to aggregate and get the quality we needed for export. So that now led to, I now told a few friends. So we now said, okay, let's come up and have a program. Can we have maybe 20 women that will be interested in this? And then we give the species of snail, we train them how to set it up, have the snail farm, have a cooperative, so that we can match the numbers. So in agri, if you are not collaborating, you can't grow big because you can't do it alone. So collaboration is key, because out of that 8,000, so which means if 8 of us should come together and we produce 1,000 each, it's a win-win for us. We will meet the target, we'll be consistent in the supplies, and we'll grow richer in our bank accounts. And so there's so much to gain in agri. There's a lot of money there if you get it right. And there's also a lot of risk involved. There was a time we went into cassava farming, and we had the farm over 100 hectares, and people brought money together to do the farming and all that. And herdsmen went. Not only took the cassava, burnt the entire farm. Major loss. You have to begin to pay investors back their money because they invested with the aim of getting profit. And so there are huge losses at times and there are huge gains. But if the government should provide the adequate security, the enabling environment, the friendly trade policies that will make it work, then it will work. Look at the African Continental Free Trade Area that has just been in, Nigeria is absolutely not competitive compared to other countries. And so women are looking at, maybe we must begin to partner and collaborate with other African countries for us to play big in that market. Because you want to go into cashew processing in Nigeria, power sector will kill you. Relevant policies will kill you. But go and set up a small cashew processing in Benin Republic. You fly.
Wow.
So those are the issues on ground. Practical
So
issues.
should I still ask the questions? What do you think government can still do? Because the things that you are actually demanding for, which are major, are not being done. So maybe I should just, for formality's sake, what do you think should be done?
Well, right now, I think the trending problem is the headsman farmers clash. That needs to be addressed. Because I ordered yams yesterday from my farmer, and he sent a picture to me and showed me, he said, this is the yam market where we used to have huge heaps. He said, can you see what we have now? So I cannot even give you what you want. The farmers don't,
I saw
they are not. So what do you do?
A video that went viral. Headsmen actually destroying heaps of yam in farms that people...
Yes. And so they couldn't
I
sell.
thought probably somebody is just being mischievous.
So that has to be addressed. And that's why they've been talking about ranching for the headsmen. Can they ranch and look after their cattle in a way that is a win-win for them? Because if you ranch, your cattle is bigger, is fatter, there's more milk, you make more money. So except the other hidden issues we don't know as lay people, it is the way to go. Who wants to be roaming around in the bush as a human being? Who doesn't want a decent lifestyle in the 2021?
Well, you remove the nomadic from it if you do that.
In 2021.
Anyway.
We're in 2021.
Well, it's something that's, like you said, if agriculture needs to grow, is an issue that the government
It's government
must
issue. It's
look
government.
into.
It's government.
Now, as a national president of the African Women Entrepreneurship Program, what would you say Nigerian women as entrepreneurs need for them to grow?
Nigerian women, one, they need capacity building in the areas they want to venture into, because you can't give what you don't have. And so you need to be grounded in what you want to do. You need to have knowledge. So you want to go, for example, into snailry. You need to know the type, there are different types of snails. You need to know what type you should go into. You need to know how the house, where you're going to house the snails, what it should look like. You should know when to feed. You should know the kind of condition that is conducive to replicate what you have done, you know. So you must be knowledgeable. So capacity building is key. Two, I go back to finance again. You know, they need to get their finances, financial literacy is right. Many times we tell the women, money is not the first thing you need in business. Money is the last thing. It's not the first that you need. Because many times when you are shown other ways that you could have done things better, you will know, oh, really? And I didn't need the money. So you have the idea. You have the ability to gather a right team. You have the right network and partnerships and collaborations to scale you up. Look at the example of the snail I gave. So if I now sit down and I'm looking for money to be able to supply 8,000 snails twice a month to a market, and I don't get, just because I want to go eat solo. So you must be able to enter into networks and partnerships that are profitable and will scale you up. You mustn't work alone. It's important not to work alone in this journey as women. You must band together with each other to scale up the things you want to do. It's also important that you are a bit technology savvy, because it is the trend. And we're now going into what is called agile. We're telling women you must be agile in your businesses, which means you must be faster. You must be more productive. You must be responsive. As issues come up, you must be able to respond immediately in whatever business you are, so that you are satisfying your clients and you are on top of your game. So there are a lot of things that are important for us to get right as women. And so that's what we're pushing now.
Thank you so much. We just have a few minutes, and we have so much we want to talk about because you seem to really have a grasp of the issues that women are really facing. What would you tell a woman right now who want to go into agricultural business? One word, what would you say to her?
First, get into the right network, because information is power. The amount of information you will gather in the right network will lead you to the collaborations that will establish you to scale up your life.
Thank you very much. That's my guest, Angela Ajala, and we've been talking about education and we've been talking about agriculture. And you see, the wise man once said, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. Networking is key.
Yeah.
Getting the right people and positioning yourself strategically so that you can grow and be the person that you really want to be. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Next week, we'll be with you again with another guest. My name is Muti Olori. Bye-bye.